Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I'm super excited for this video because I'm going to be doing a review and 3 looks with the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 palette. I fell in love with this palette when I first saw it, and I don't know why because I'm normally not super drawn to almost all neutral palettes, but I just thought the pops of color in here were so stunning, so I went ahead and did a look focusing on each, like one pop of color for each look basically, which I thought was really fun. And I have used every single shade in the palette. I've used them all pretty much multiple times on the eyes. I've used some of the shades on the face, so I feel like I can give you guys a pretty good opinion on the quality of the shadows. I also went ahead and did a first impression on this already, which I can have linked down below, where I went ahead and used matcha in the inner corner, which I thought was a really pretty interesting little twist in case you want to see another look. So this retails for $42, and I believe that it is available on the Dominique Cosmetics website. That's where I purchased it from, just because that's where it launched first. Now it's also on Sephora, and I think I got an email that it was coming to Beautylish or that it came to Beautylish, so I will have it linked down below in each location, depending on whatever floats your boat if you want to look into it. But I feel like I've had a pretty good overall experience with this palette. In the past, I tried the Lemonade palette, and I do like that one. The quality is a little hit and miss. The shimmers aren't the best, but I love the color scheme. And then I got the Berries and Cream palette, which I was definitely more iffy about. I just felt like there was too many formulas. Each shade was different than the other, and there was nothing really consistent happening. Some shades blended well, some didn't, so I just wasn't the biggest fan of the Berries and Cream palette, and I did use that extensively, but I don't ever think I did a full review on it. I don't have a logical explanation of why I gave this a palette a chance after I didn't have the best experiences with their previous palettes, but I'm glad that I did because I've had a really fun time playing with this. So we'll just jump into my thoughts. I feel like the mattes are pretty good. They all blended well for me. I feel like they're an overall really easy, very beginner-friendly formula, very much on the buildable side. It's not something where you put the shade down and it's like, whoa, that's a ton of pigment, that's going to be hard to blend out or anything. Not that type of formula at all. It's very much just like a kind of more of a sheer layering type of matte formula. And I feel like if you are someone who's super into colors like me, you could possibly be a little bit disappointed with the pops of colors because they are definitely on the softer side. They have to be built up. And even, for example, Strawberry Milk, I put it on the lower lash line, and after like 2 minutes it looked like it kind of faded and it just got a lot softer. And I feel like that's true for all the shades, honestly, but especially with the pops of color, if you're looking for them to be like super vibrant and just extreme pops, I feel like they're not really complaining, because I feel like it makes sense for this palette, like especially this color scheme, for someone who loves neutrals and wants to add just a very soft pop. I can see why the formula of these would really work for that kind of person. And even for me, you know, as long as I build it up, I'm happy. And I do feel like all 3 shades go really well with the entire palette, and just the tones of them, I think that they can really add so much versatility to any look. And I found myself doing like super fall looks and super dramatic looks and soft looks and spring looks, and just for being only 10 shades, I feel like, again, there's just so much you can do here. I feel like this palette just has a lot of spring and fall vibes depending on how you personally take it. So like I said, I'm a fan of the mattes, but as far as the color selection goes, I feel like these 2 browns here, they are just a tiny bit different. Cafecito is a little bit more warm, Coffee Beans is a little bit more cool, but I feel like blended out on the eyes, they look very similar. So I wish that there would have been a little bit more of a difference between those 2 shades. And then there is Cafe Con Leche, which is a really light tan. I like that color because I feel like if you have a super fair skin tone, you can use that as a bronzer, which I have, and I think that it blends actually pretty nicely. I do like it for that. Or you could use it as a very soft transition shade. And then if you have more of a medium or tan skin tone, I feel like you could use that to set your lid. And then if you have a deeper skin tone, you could use it as more of a matte highlight. So I feel like that's pretty versatile. The shade Frothy is not my absolute favorite. I feel like just overall it's not a shade I would get that much use out of. I tried using it underneath my eyes to set, and I just feel like it's just a little bit too much of a thick powder. Not that it is super thick, but it's thick compared to the thin powders that I would normally use underneath my eyes, especially because I do have dry skin and I just want it to be the least amount of products as possible. So not the biggest fan of that. So I guess I would, like, I like the idea of the neutrals, but I think that I would like switch it just a tiny bit, even if it was just making cafecito a little warmer or making coffee beans just a little bit deeper, because like I said, also they are more sheer buildable, so I feel like neither of these two browns get super deep. Coffee beans is the darker one, and that's what I have on my outer V today, which, I mean, I could have gone in and layered it like 6 more times and maybe got a really intense look, but that's like 2 times, and I feel like it's just a pretty soft neutral brown when it's blended out. I also think it's pretty cool that all the pops of color in this palette are matte shades, just because I feel like a lot of mainstream brands, normally when it's a neutral palette with a pop of color, the pop of color is shimmer. So I think that's a fun little mix up. And then there are only 3 shimmers in this palette, and I actually do really like these. I was nervous about them just because I don't know, I just really haven't been the biggest fan of the Dominique Cosmetics shimmers in the past. There are some that I like, and it'll be like there's one shade and it's like a beautiful metallic, just everything, and then the next shade over will be so chunky and fallout and like just not good, and it's like, why is there so much difference between these two formulas? One is so good and one is so bad, and they're in the same palette, they're right next to each other. Can't help but compare how good and how bad one is. So I was nervous, but I actually do really like them. I feel like Drizzle and Iced Coffee are both really nice, just true metallics. Drizzle's a little bit more of a gold. Iced Coffee is more of like a taupey, just a bronzy shade. I feel like they do go with the palette, and I did have fun doing neutral looks with them, and I like the formula enough to continue to use them. They just look metallic and wet on the lid. I do prefer to use these shimmers with either wetting my brush or using a glitter glue, but I've kind of gotten in the habit of doing that with all my shimmers. I used to not do it, but it just makes it look better, and it's so much easier. There's less fallout. I just don't understand why I wouldn't do it. It's also kind of funny because my favorite coffee would either be a vanilla latte or a frappe, and the shade frappe in here is definitely my favorite among all of the neutral shadows. It's so beautiful. It's a very light, super sparkly, shimmery shade with a little bit more of a warm base to it, which I like because I think it makes it a little bit more versatile depending on what your skin tone is. You could still rock it. I also feel like it's a no-brainer because it goes well with every single matte here. You could put any of the mattes in your crease and then throw a frappe on the lid, and it's a 2-shadow look, and you're done, and it's gonna be beautiful. I really like using that shade with a glitter glue just because it helps there not be fallout, because there are tiny little sparkles in it, but overall it is pretty metallic. It really affects the light, and I wore it on my inner corner. I don't remember the first day how it wore, but I remember yesterday I wore it on my inner corner for look number 2 all day long. I wore it to work and everything, and I just kept looking in the mirrors, and I'm like, dang, that inner corner though, like it stayed really well. So I'm a big fan of that shade, and I think that it adds so much to this palette for me personally, and for like the makeup style I like to do, because even though like I like the formula of these two, especially like Iced Coffee, it's beautiful, but I don't really tend to go for deep metallic shades all over my lid. This is just more my makeup aesthetic. I think I would give this palette a B+, and if it came down to it, if Dominique Cosmetics releases another palette where the color scheme really appeals to me, I would definitely purchase it and try it out, because I think I had a pretty good experience, and I feel like this kind of, it filled a hole for me because I haven't bought a neutral palette in a long time other than the Huda Beauty Light Nudes palette, which I really like. It's in my project pan for panning my favorites this year, and I've been using it a decent amount, but I feel like that's a lot more like rosy pinky nudes, and this is just a true neutral palette with those little pops. I don't know why I'm over explaining. I tend to do that a lot, but basically I feel like this added value to my collection, and it's something I can't wait to keep using just because I have been digging softer looks. So that's my review of the palette. I'm sorry that I blabber so much. Let's go ahead and jump on into the looks. Alright, so jumping right on into the first look, I'm going to go ahead and start off with this golden shade right here called Blonde Roast. I also already went ahead and primed my eyes using the Anastasia eye primer. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of that yellow and start blending it through my crease. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and take Cafecito, which is the warmer brown, on a slightly smaller blending brush, and I'm going to pop that into my outer V. then just lightly blend it out. I'm actually kind of inspired by my sweatshirt today, even though you guys can't see it right now, because it's a Seminole sweatshirt, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of do like that warm golden lid and then do the pop of red on the lower lash line. It's not exactly going to be garnet and gold, but inspired. So I really am just trying to keep this darker shade right on the outer V. I just really think that this is a flattering shape for my eyes. And then I'm just lightly taking whatever's left over on the brush and blending. I think I'm going to go ahead and take just a little bit more of that and build it up. Alright, I'm going to go back into that first brush that I used and take a little bit more of Blonde Roast and just blend that over the edge. I'm going to take some more of that warm brown Cafecito, and I'm just going to pop it onto the outer third of my lower lash line just to connect to the outer V, and then just slightly smudging it. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and take this shade right here called Strawberry Milk, and I'm going to pop that on the rest of the lower lash line. Such a pretty tone to it. I actually went ahead and used that as my blush today, just for the heck of it, and I used the shade Café con Leche as my contour over, I've been using a foundation that's a little bit too dark for me to like cream bronze first, and then I just went ahead and took a little bit of Café con Leche just because it has a little bit more of a neutral undertone, and just kind of contoured with that. And then I used Frothy to set underneath my eyes, but I don't really think I like it for that. I feel like it's just a little bit too dry for me personally. Alright, so now for my lid, I'm going to be using this shade Drizzle, the gold right here, which is really pretty, but I feel like I normally do get a little bit of fallout with these type of shimmers. So I'm first going to go into my NYX glitter glue just to make the whole process a little bit easier. So I'm just picking up a little bit of that, and I'm going to start it off on the innermost part of my lid and then slowly blend it into the brown. Alright, so I gave that a moment and it got tacky, so I'm going to go ahead with that same brush and just pick up from Drizzle, tap off any excess. Ooh. That's actually really pretty. It kind of looks like liquid gold. I'm not super drawn to golds that are just golds. I really like to have something that has shifts and duochromes or something if I'm using a gold, but this does have a really pretty texture to it, which I appreciate. Alright, so last but not least, I'm really curious to see how this lightest shade Frappe will look on the inner corner. I'm not sure if it's going to be just a little bit too dark for me or not. I do really like the way it looks all over the lid, so I thought I'd just give it a chance. Again, I'm going to go into the NYX glitter glue just because that one definitely has tiny little specks of sparkles, and I'd just rather be on the safe side. Alright, so I actually do think that looks pretty good for the inner corner. It has just a little bit of a deeper base to it, so I think it'll be a beautiful inner corner for a lot of skin tones, but it has such a nice reflect and sparkle that it looks really, really pretty. Alright, really quickly to finish off this look off camera, I'm going to go ahead and put my Appeal Gel Liner in the shade Deep Taupe in my waterline, throw on some mascara, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now I'm going to go into the Natasha Denona Love Glow Cheek Palette. I did already apply some blush today, like I said, the Strawberry Milk shade in the Dominique Cosmetics palette, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Glow Impact Powder just because I'm testing this palette out, and I'm going to use it as kind of like a blush topper all over glow type moment. Alright, for lips today, I'm going to go into the Alter Ego liquid lipstick in the shade Infamous. Alright, y'all, so this is the finished first look with the Latte 2 palette, and I have to say, I feel slightly like a clown because I feel like when I look at this palette, it screams spring, and somehow I ended up doing like a full fall glam, but I'm not mad at it. I do really like how it turned out. I really liked the quality of everything I used today. I felt like it blended really well. The shimmers look really, really pretty. The inner corner, I like it all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first look. Now let's go ahead and jump on into look number 2. Alright, so I went ahead and primed my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer. Let's just go ahead and jump on into look number 2. So today I think I really want to do more of a smoky eye, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with the shade Strawberry Milk. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up on a slightly tapered fluffy brush and just throw that in my crease. Definitely want this to be a little bit more of the star of the show today. I figured it'd be fun to do one look with each color and just give each pop of color its own moment. And then I'm just going to go ahead and blend that out. I'm also going to take that shade on a pencil brush and put that along my entire lower lash line as well. Oh my goodness. This is like the perfect I'm sick shade. It just has the perfect, like, realistically pinky sick undertone. And I think it's beautiful, but it could definitely be misinterpreted. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the shade Coffee Beans. I'm going to take that on a pretty small blending brush and start it off on my outer V. And then whatever's left over, I'm going to bring on the inner corner. And then just slightly blend. So I'm going to go back and forth between blending this shade and slowly adding a little bit more and more just to get some good depth going. Alright, so once I've gotten that built up to where I want it to be, I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of Strawberry Milk right in the middle, just because I don't want to lose that color. And then I'm also going to take a touch of Coffee Beans on the inner and outer parts of the lower lash line. I'm going back into some more of Strawberry Milk and just going to pop that onto the middle of the lower lash line just to kind of refresh it after adding the brown in. Alright, so now I'm going to go into this shade right here called Iced Coffee, and I think today I'm going to try wetting it and see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and pop that onto the inner third of my eye and just kind of lightly blending it inwards, and then I'm going to pop it in the outer third, blending it in. Just doing a little bit more of a soft halo. I'm just going to take that same brush, turn it around, and I'm going to pick up this shade right here called Frappe. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and spray it, and I'm going to pop that right onto the center of the lid. Just going to pack the majority of the product on and then tap it into the other shade. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take that same shade and use it on my inner corner again. I'm going to start off with the NYX Glitter Primer. Like I said, just going back in with some more of Frappe. So I really want to use the Linda Howbury Anger Mood pencil, which is a really bright red for my waterline, but I have no idea where I put it, so I went ahead and pulled out a deep red lip liner from BH Cosmetics. I don't know, I just really want to do a pop of red. I'm going to throw on some mascara, and then I'll be right back. Alright, for blush, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Natasha Love Glow Cheek Palette, and I think today I'm going to use the Super Glow shade, this one right here, for my blush. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the Glow Impact Powder on a really fluffy highlighter brush and just really lightly blend that over the tops of my cheekbones. Last but not least, my beloved Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in the shade Sweet Mouth arrived at my doorstep today, and I cannot wait to use it. Alright, so this is the finished second look with the palette, and I really like how it turned out. I feel like something about the whole look, even though it is very, very neutral, I just love that super, like, interestingly toned, reddy, pinky shade. I just think it added some nice dimension to the eyes, so I hope you liked this look. Now let's go ahead and jump on into the third one. Alright, so jumping into look number 3, today's pop of color that we're going to be focusing on is Matcha, which I'm super excited about. So I'm going to start off with that. And again, I went ahead and primed my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer already. So I'm taking that shade on a slightly tapered blending brush, and I'm going to go ahead and start it off on my lid. And I'm going to blend it through my crease and then just slowly build it up. I'm also going to pick that shade up on my little pencil brush and just blend that along the entire lower lash line. So now I'm going to go into Coffee Beans. I'm going to take just a little bit of that on a really small tapered blending brush, and I'm going to put that right into my outer V just to add a little bit of depth. I feel like you could have stopped the look right there and done just the minty shade and then threw something on the inner corner. It would be really pretty, but may as well go a little more intense for the sake of the video. I'm also going to take a touch of Coffee Beans on the lower lash line. Alright, so I've kind of blended that out, but I'm going to go back in with my previous brush and just lightly go over the edge of that brown. And then I'm going to go back into some more of Matcha and just refresh that on the lid. I think I'm going to refresh it on the lower lash line too, just a little bit, just because I really want that shade to pop. Alright, so that is pretty much the eyeshadow for today. It's only 2 shades, but I do think it looks really pretty. You could go ahead and go back into Frappe if you wanted as an inner corner highlight, and it could be pretty. Or I think maybe Frappe just tapped over the lid to add a little bit of sparkle to this look could be beautiful as well. But I actually want to go into something a little bit more cool toned, and I used Frappe on my inner corner the last 2 looks. So I'm going to use my Horse and Carriage highlighter from ColourPop, which looks like this. Just a like kind of nice white tone, and I'm going to pop that on my inner corner. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and add the Ardency Inn liner in the shade Jade to my waterline, throw on some mascara, and I'll be right back. For blush today, I'm going to go back into the palette and I'm going to use Strawberry Milk. And then I'm going to go back into the Horse and Carriage highlighter for my cheekbones. I just realized I haven't even taken the little thing off that. And then for lips, I'm going to go into the Jouer Essential Lip Enhancer Shine Balm in the shade Amaryllis, which is a little bit more of a brownie nude. Alright, so this is the finished third look. I feel like I finally did something a little bit more spring appropriate, and I just like how it turned out. I feel like for having the 2 shadows and then obviously the inner corner highlight, it looks like a really nice, interesting look. It doesn't look super simple, but it really was. It was very quick and easy to do. So I hope you enjoyed all the looks that I did with the palette and my review in the beginning. I really hope it was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down below for me, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.